Good morning. Welcome once again. As I promised the last time, I said we'll be looking at experimental probability. Who remembers the other one? Yes, if you mention theoretical probability, then you are right. Theory, in theory, it has not yet occurred. But experimental probability, this time around, has occurred. Experimental, which means they conducted the experiment and it occurred. So this type of probability is basically going to be a data presented which you need to answer questions from. That is what we call experimental. With a theoretical, you quite remember I said what is the probability of obtaining an odd number when you toss a die? When you toss, which means you have not tossed the die. That is theoretical. But with experimental, the whole event has been done, presented on a data, and you are being asked to answer questions on it. That is what we call experimental probability. So without wasting much time, I'll just present a data, just like what we did before, the frequency distribution table. Then from that table, we will use to answer questions on experimental probability. Give me some few minutes. Let me put a data there. Okay, so we have age and number of students. Age and number of students. Good. So age of 5, 6, 7, and 8. The number of students, we have 3, 4, 1, and 2. So to interpret this data, it basically means the number of students who are 5 years old is 3. The number of students who are 6 years old is 4. And the number of students who are 7 years old is 1. The number of students who are 8 years old is 2. As simple as that. To answer probability questions from this table, that is what we are going to use to explain to take today's lesson. Today's lesson is based on this because this is an experimental probability. It is an experimental because we are no more guessing, but we have actually gone around, asked for the number of students and their ages, and we have collected this data. So this is an experiment. It has occurred. And we are going to take probability questions from it. Good. So I always advise that before you even start asking, before you even start attending to the questions, answering the questions, you need to find the total number of students in the class or the total number of outcomes. Think about it. Total number of students is the total number of outcome. So you need to find that. So total number of outcomes is 3 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2, giving us 10. So we have 10. The total number of outcomes is 10. Remember, we said probability is event or outcome over total number of outcome. Event or outcome over total number of outcome. So now that we have our total number of outcome, which means here will always be 10. Total number of outcome will always be 10. Let's take a probability question. So question number 1. What is the probability of obtaining a child or picking a child who is 6 years old? Who is 6 years old? From the table we have here, the age 6 is here. How many are they? 4. So, which means our answer is going to be 4 over 6. You need to simplify the fraction. So 2 here, 2, 2 here, 3. So our probability of picking a child who is 6 years old is 2 out of 3, or 2 over 3. Let's take another question. What is the probability of picking a child who is 8 years old? 8 years old. The age mentioned over there is 8. How many students are 8? 2. So our answer becomes 2 over 10. Why over 10? Because 10 is the total number of what? Outcome. So it becomes 1 out of 5. That is when you simplify it. Okay? They can make this a little bit trickier when they say, what is the probability of picking a child who is less than 6 years old? Less than 6 years old. So you have to ask yourself, all the ages written over there, which of them is or are less than 6? This is 6. So what is less than 6? 5. So which means they are referring to all those who are 5 years. And how many people are 5 years? 3. So the probability of picking a child who is less than 6 years old is 3. So our answer becomes 3 out of 10. This is what we call experimental probability. Experimental probability is based on data presented because the experiment has already been conducted. Thank you very much for your time. Now, I believe you know theoretical probability, which talks about guessing, and experimental probability, which talks about something that has already occurred. Hope to see you next time. Do well to go to the assignment section to practice more. And don't forget to leave a comment below whether you understood or not. You can always reach out to me through my WhatsApp line 057 611 6204. Thank you very much and have a nice day.